I wanted to know because you said uh, when people some friends are stepping up, they want to be part of the new presentation, and then they ask you what the next step is. So what do you tell them? Maybe we can help you with some answers and some way forward.
Well, what I suggest, again, this is why Paul, I'm going to back up a little bit, but we're a little more fast forward, gave it 2 years. Paul basically said, and you should remember this because you were in the corporation too, that, give it about 2 years to the second initiation. Now, he used the initiation idea as the different steps, like going through first grade and second grade, whatever. Well, the world has changed a lot, and so I saw this idea and I really wanted to speed it up a little bit because, again, we only have so much time and people have a lot more information. They're a lot more aware. And so I suggest to anybody, like yesterday or the day before, Kelsey had made this contact with this fella, Henry, in New Zealand. And so we got him on Skype. We talked to him, 21-year-old kid has been reading the books and doing things. And so I suggest to anybody, I ask them, how long have you known this? And you just start off with the basics. And I tell them, give it a couple, 3 months. Attend the Skypes, do the new you, get your experiences. You want to give them time to get their experiences. It's not about what is the next step. Life will show you, okay? It will show up. Simply just kind of go through the procedure. It's kind of like a soldier, his first day out there, confronting the so-called bad guys. And, of course, he's going to ask the commander what's going to happen next. Well, what's the commander going to say? Well, he's got a basic idea, but it's like, well, let's see what happens. You got to go out there and let's see what happens. Just your presence alone is going to rile people up. So we already know this. And so the same with this. We don't have a plan for people. Each person, as they take a step, they find out where they're going and what's going on. But I always suggest to give yourself at least 2 to 3 months of study time and Skypes, doing new you, getting your own experiences. So you start to get a feel for this. It's just like practicing for baseball or something. You go out there and it's not about asking the question, gee, how do I hit the ball? Okay. And where's the ball going after I hit it? It's about go out there and start swinging the bat and see what happens. And so the same thing with this. Take the time to study, etc. It's not going to just walk up to you. Again, the world, because of the educational system, because of what people are living in and confronting every day, they're robotized for the most part. Most people are robotized. They got their cell phones. They think it just click. I got the answer. Here it is. I just go to Google, click, the Google God, just click, get the answer. And life is not like that. It's bigger. It's real. It's alive. And so, you cannot say which way the birds are going to fly. If you wave your arms, which way are they going to go? And this is how life is. It's getting out of this mental groove. And again, this is what is in the air, in the Wi-Fi, subconsciously and everything. Want everybody robotized and one-dimensional, thinking along certain lines. And even in religion, again, God has a plan for you. We don't have a plan, all right? We're dealing with the whole of life here. It's the ocean. It's the endless ocean life is, you might say. It's this isness, which is even better. This is your real freedom. But in the beginning, again, take a little time to study and see if this is what you want to do. If this is, you have the option like playing baseball, football, or tennis, or hockey, or whatever. I mean, you decide if this is for you. Give yourself time to study. And so I usually don't really get into things with people and the projects and everything. It just depends. After a couple of months, and then I'll bring them into certain aspects because I see that by what they do or what their lifestyle has been or their occupation or whatever, then I will consult with them more so privately because I don't want everyone to know what's going on because, again, a lot of people want to destroy what I'm doing. And that's just too bad, but that's how the world is, and I have to deal with that too. So it's giving the person time And it's not about, well, what is the next step? The idea would be, well, why don't you just finish what you're doing? Why don't you just live your life now, right now? And then as you do whatever, it's going to show up. It really is. But what's so cool is that you have the books, you can do the New You sessions, watch your real side. Hey, this is your adventure, and it's unlimited. So the next step is really up to you. Go ahead, Charles.
Thank you for stepping up and answering for King. I'm sure King would have had some difficulty saying what is the next step. Duane, you've just talked about the mind operating or moving in grooves. And now we find ourselves in a kind of groove. The groove of the new presentation. Do you think for the mind to be locked into this groove of the new presentation, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing?
Well, it's whatever it is, and it's kind of like this, Charles. So you know, it's not that you give up all your grooves, because you do want to be a little bit groovy. Otherwise, everybody's going to think you're square, Charles. So the idea would be that your car keys are a good example in your wallet. How many times have you forgotten where you put them down? So those little grooves in the mind do work too. See, everything is workable. So nothing is negated. So each person figures out what works for them. That's really the scenario, isn't it? It's not about good or bad. It's about, what makes sense. You see? That's all. It's that simple.
Okay. There's an observation I've made, Duane, and it's a new form of tap lining that is going on. Sharing of messages in the hope that something will happen to you positively if you do, and maybe if you don't share the message, something negative might happen to you. This is mostly in the religious arena, or somebody was talking the other day of loving the mother, and sharing some information could add some years to the mother's life. Others are enticed by some luck around the corner. They share this message and all that. I think it's a new form of control by the, what I call it, the influence. Does sharing the new presentation fall within this kind of category? Because you'll often say, give some pros why people should share the new presentation, and in fact, it's convincing to read that and then to proceed to either share the info or adhere to the new presentation. So, is there a relation between these two kind of messages?
Well, that's a good question, and of course, it's all in creation, which is fine. So again, we have the back and forth. There's always going to be two sides of the coin, and many more here. So it would be like a teacher, like you're a teacher. And so, when you give the lesson, you basically tell the kids, hey, you got to do your homework if you want to succeed and learn, right? You got to do their homework. Is that a guilt trip for them? Is that control? Actually, it's not. It's really a suggestion, isn't it? Because they do have the right to not do their homework. But the idea in school is that you are supposed to do your homework. That's kind of the idea, right? That's more of an enforcement. I went to school too. I know what it's about. And when you don't do your homework, the teacher takes you to the side. It's like, okay, Billy, little Charles, stay after class. I want to have a talk with you. See, again, you get the drill, right? Because you haven't been doing your homework. It's like, well, what are you doing? Are you watching TV after school or whatever? Why you haven't turned in your assignments? See, that's a little more pressure. But do we do that? No. Really, the idea of sharing, it's the benefit to the individual because you have to earn your way. That's all there is to it. It's kind of like saying, we've provided a position for you here. You might say it in that way. And if you want to, it's like a job. If you want the job, you show up, you do the job. That's an agreement too. We've talked about. So it's kind of like along those lines, but you don't have to. So nobody has to share. Nobody has to do anything, but it's suggested that you do simply because it's an option that is provided for you to better excel and understand what's going on with the whole of life. All these little things add up. But no, it's not a must thing. Nothing of it is a must. And besides, what are we doing when we say share? Okay, that's you individually earning your way. Okay, nobody controls anybody, nobody polices anybody here. And then when you have the religious way of doing it, what's the whole idea? Well, what is the hidden agenda to get people to feel guilty so that they are unconsciously tap-lined to being part of the church and the support to be controlled? That is really it. We don't have an agenda. That becomes the difference too. We don't have plans. We don't have an agenda. Well, with the project, yeah, there are plans because these are physical things that are taking place. But overall, with there is no plan. And each person, and realistically, I can only, you might say, deal with those that are risk takers and will step up and do something real. Everybody else, hey, they have the right to do whatever they want. They don't have to. And it's just like the job place out there. Everybody picks their job and what they want to do. So if they want to work for the agencies and become a chemtrail pilot and poison the whole world, well, they have the right to do that. Is that what you want to do? And so again, it's always seeing the bigger picture. And so the sharing idea, it is a benefit to the individual to see how this works. Actually, just like when I was in the corporation, and when I went out there in the public, I thought it was great. Actually, when I first came into the corporation with Paul, I took on the adventure right away. I started to go out in the street, hand out little pamphlets and stuff that I had made. Then the Eck-World News came along. I used to go down and talk to people on the beach. And then finally I got the nerve to go out there and do public lectures. Because here was, for the first time in my life, even though I had many experiences and was led up to it, that, hey, here was something that made sense in the physical sense, you might say, to where I could share with others and I could have this adventure and I can learn. And this is what I discovered I wanted to do. Nobody made me do it. I decided it on my own. I remember when Patty Simpson was, saying certain things, and she created the first center in Laguna Beach, and I'd go to the meetings down there. But then it came to a point, too, where I remember that I realized this is my last meeting. I saw it very well. It's like, this is the last time I'm coming here. Because I had gone through that process and at the same time learned a lot, shared a lot. But I stepped up to do that. I see this as an advantage, you see. But again, nobody has to do it. And so we all earn our way. I like earning my way. I like the challenge of earning my way, etc. And I'll do whatever it takes. And I take on other people's positions too, many times. And I'll do that. That's fine. I'll take care of it. simply because this is a privilege. Yeah. And we know the difference, and it doesn't mean the world will. There are always going to be those out there, and they're going to be the majority that are going to put this down. It's from Jesus's day and before that, etc. You see what he went through. He had very few people that even kind of recognized what he was doing, but everybody else was after him to get rid of him, because the establishment, even the good people in the establishment, and I know a lot of good people, and you know what? When it comes to this, they don't want to hear it. And they're good people, you see? So what is the value of being a good person when you're still unaware? So again, we're not making judgments here, but the sharing aspect or any of these things, I see as a privilege to be able to have the awareness to take part in this, because this becomes a better and better awareness and a better view. That's what it equals. So again, it's not some plan that is taking place that, everybody, like in school, the plan is to get your diploma and then go out there and get your 9-to-5 boring job, even though you may like your career or whatever, but it's all for the cabal until you wake up from that. But we don't need a plan. This is so cool. We don't need plan. We don't need an agenda. Each person decides. And the free will, starting off with the person, this is where the individual learns to, you might say, illuminate, become more aware for themselves. They decide to do that and step up individually. Yeah, it's like Delta Force or Navy SEALs or whatever, or, the Untouchables, what have you. These are individuals that step up and say, we'll take the risk. No matter what the consequences, we will take the risk. And so that's what the boys look for. This is what life looks for. And everybody else, for the most part, they're just going to kind of wander around. And they really will. They will just wander around and they won't see it, because it's, again, they will justify it. I see people doing that all the time. They will criticize what I'm saying or the isness or whatever. Again, they will justify that their personal life comes first. Well, it's fine. If that's what you want, go for it. But heck, you can become more aware than the sky you're seeing and the sun shining, as, more so than any of these defined positions that we've come through and come to know. But it's a choice. It's a risk-taker position. So, always, again, we're always going to deal with everything here, Charles. And that's just how it is, because now we're dealing with the whole of life all the time. But the sharing, I see that. That's why I do it. That's why I create what I do. I create and I share. That's what I do. I decide to do that. And it's for everyone. It's really for everyone. And then it's for you and other people too. And look at what we're doing here. I take the time to do this. You see Harry doing this? No, Harry's too special. You see? Do you see Trump, doing this and coming up with what I'm sharing? Do you see anybody in the world doing that and taking the time to do it? No, you got to go pay that to see them. You got to go pay to see David Icke and Tony Robbins. You want to pay them a lot of money. For what? So that everybody's happy and clapping when they leave? And for what? What's the end result? And so, everything is demonstrated. Everything is proof. Yes. That's why I take the time. Because, again, I'm doing it. I'm doing it every single moment because I see the value in it.